everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hermione, for those of you who might be new here, and today I'm sharing with you part 2 of my bedroom makeover. This video has been a long while in the making because for some reason or another, every time I went to film this, I had to do something else in the house, or something else needed my attention, or this was broken, or that was broken. Anyway, we are finally here and I'm so excited to share with you what the bedroom looks like now. I'd say it's about 80% done now. It's not fully finished, there are a few little bits that need to be done, and I think when we move in I'll probably end up moving a few things around and making it work for the way that we live when we're actually here. But for now, this is what it looks like, so let me show you. I wanted to create some shelving to fit within the alcove on the right hand side of the chimney. This is mainly to create extra storage space for my accessories, but also to balance the height of the wardrobe on the opposite side. Sadly, we couldn't just pop up an IKEA floating shelf and be done with it. The alcoves fluctuated in width, so we needed to custom make the shelves to fit the slightly wonky alcoves. To do this, we used the batten method to hold the shelves in place. We followed many YouTube videos and this is what we came up with. I promise once I get this DIY perfected, I'll show you a more in-depth how-to when I do this in the dining room. But as this was our first shot and maybe we made a few mistakes along the way, I'll leave some helpful resources in the description for now. But it's pretty simple even if you have little to no experience with tools just like us. With the batten screwed in place, I painted them to match the colour of the walls and then slid the shelves on top. These were just pieces of 18mm thick MDF that I had cut at my local hardware store, which I painted white to match. Make sure to use MDF that is this thick or thicker to avoid bowing in the middle. Now for the fun part, the styling. I decided to go for whites, pale pinks and natural textures for the decor pieces. I did try styling with other items, but I ended up using way too many colours and it felt really overwhelming, and that's really not what I'm going for in the bedroom. To maximise the storage, I placed these rope baskets from Home Bargains on a few of the shelves, and I added the square wicker baskets at the top to store off-season clothing and accessories. I picked these up in a charity shop for £5 for the pair, which I think was a pretty good bargain. After styling, I decided that I was missing something, and I felt like the space could do with a small decorative mirror. So, of course, I had to try and DIY one. I came up with this design, which was surprisingly easy to make. Here's how. The two most important things you'll need for this craft are wooden dolly pegs, which you can find at any good home store in the cleaning section, and a circular craft or bathroom mirror. To give the mirror that mid-century starburst design, I'm positioning the pegs around the edge quite closely together, with the opening facing down over the front and back surface. I really wanted to make sure that the pegs were well spaced to avoid getting to the end and having a big old gap to deal with. So I attached my first peg using hot glue and then positioned the next one directly opposite. After securing the first two, I moved on to position the next two at 90-degree angles between them. I continued the pattern, filling the pegs in the spaces left in the middle of the last ones positioned until I'd filled up the whole mirror. I let the glue dry, and once it was finished, the piece was ready to be placed on top of the dresser. If you make this, you could paint, stain or decoupage the pegs before gluing them on, but I wanted mine to fit with the light wood theme that I have going on in this room, so I left them bare. Next, it was time to fit the curtains, and I had a little help from my assistant for this. Hey Ben, what are we doing today?
We are going to put up some curtains right here. I'm going to put sit right there. Sit right there.
You want to tone the country accent down? Hey Ben, what are we doing today?
We're going to put up some dang on curtains now.
You turned up the country accent real quick.
I did not.
Take 3. Hey Ben.
Howdy y'all. We're going to put up some curtains today.
Okay, cut. I'd like to point out that I am helping somehow.
Supervising.
I'm supervising. We, and by we, of course I mean Ben this time, screwed the curtain poles into the walls. The poles I picked up from IKEA, but I wasn't loving their selection of end pieces, so I picked up these cabinet handles from a local boutique for £1.69 each, and I screwed these in instead. After putting the curtains up, I realised I didn't really love them as I had loved them in the store. They're really quite dark and they block out a lot of light coming into the room, so now I'm thinking of putting them elsewhere in the house and replacing them with some linen curtains instead, but I'm not sure. Let me know what you think, but for now, they'll do. Ben also helped me put up the lampshade because I was too short. I don't know how I'd finish this house without him. I think something's wrong there. I think that's alright. I had a few small upcycling projects that I wanted to do to make the room feel a little bit more put together. The first was to paint this lovely Lloyd Loom laundry hamper that my nan gave to me. It's quite old and it had a few nicks in it, so I gave it a fresh lick of paint with some white furniture paint to freshen it up. With baskets like this, it is easy to overdo it on the paint and end up with areas that looked kind of almost clogged up. So I recommend using a really light hand to paint with and getting rid of most of the excess paint on your brush before painting. Once it was dry, I placed it underneath the window next to my vanity table for easy access when dumping my dirty clothes. I also wanted to create a little dish for my planter to catch all the excess water and prevent it dripping onto the table. To do this, I simply picked up a terracotta plant dish from my local garden centre. And then all I did was paint the entire thing white with white chalk paint. Spray paint would have been a faster option, but unfortunately mine is all packed away in boxes at the moment. After about 4 coats, the thing was finally dried, so I flipped it over and then I glued these 3 small wooden beads to the bottom to act as feet. To do this, I used a hot glue gun so that it would dry quickly. And this is the finished result. After this, I had to style the tabletop too, so for this I just arranged some of my old trinkets on top of it. I started by placing this lovely gold mirror in the centre. I picked this up in a charity shop for only £10. Next to that I added my planter and a little rainbow catch-all dish from Paperchase. On the other side, for jewellery storage, I placed a tray from Tiger on the tabletop, and on top I used these IKEA glasses to corral my rings and pins. As for the chair, this is my favourite £8 charity shop find, but it's not the most comfortable, so I added a really nice throw pillow that I picked up in a local boutique. As for the bed, I switched up the pillows slightly since part 1 of this video. I decided to use 2 matching grey pattern covers at the back for some symmetry, and then I used my TK Maxx and IKEA Hack lumbar pillows in the centre. And lastly, I wanted to add some framed art pieces in this blank space above the radiator. I was waiting on some prints to arrive, so in the meantime I mocked up these fabric prints that will end up in the dining room at a later date, once that's actually finished, but that's another story. So for these, I picked up some beautiful hand-printed fabrics that I picked up in a store in Brighton. All I did was place them gently into these old IKEA frames that I had lying around. I made sure to fold them rather than cut them so that I can reuse them one day if I want. And I just put them in the frames as neatly as I could, but because the fabric is hand-printed, it's not perfectly aligned, so it doesn't sit quite straight in the frame, but I actually think I like it more because of this. This is how they turned out, and like I said, I will move them very soon, but I just wanted the room to feel a little bit more put together for the video, and for my sanity, because this whole house is not put together. So after all that, the room was finally finished, but here's a quick taste of what it looked like when we first moved in. And this is how the room finally turned out. I'm really pleased with how it's all come together. It's a lot more neutral than I'm planning for the rest of the house, but I really wanted it to be a space that felt calm and relaxing rather than being too crowded with all my knickknacks, even though there are a few of those floating around. Plus, with the room being more neutral, I have time to settle into the house before making any more big decorative changes, which no doubt I will be doing at some point. As you guys know, I love moving things around and DIYing.
So that is
everything for today's video, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Do stay tuned, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to stay informed of all my future videos. I've got loads of makeovers coming up. This is only the first room. I've got so many more to do. I'm kind of nervous. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.